What if the moments that broke you, the questions that have kept you searching, the times that you felt lost or uncertain, were never meant to defeat you, but to awaken you? Hi, I'm Shelley, and this is Your Sacred Soul. Here we share real stories of real people whose life experiences opened up their hearts and awareness, both personally and spiritually, forever changing the way they understood life. My guest today is Neil Williams from High River, and I just wanted to tell you a little bit about Neil. Neil is currently married to Velda and is a father, and Neil attends the Calgary Center for Spiritual Living with Velda, where they are actually quite involved. And I know this center honors all faiths, which is so awesome. And Neil worked in journalism for 22 years and then had a career change and did charitable fundraising for many years for organizations such as the Cancer Society, Heart and Stroke Foundation, and etc. And then went into consulting before he retired. And Neil says that he's busier than ever, which is often the case when you retire. You just get busy with other things. And I know that Neil is also very artistic and he loves to carve creations with wood. So he showed me some which were very cool. And I know Neil loves to learn and continues on his path of spiritual growth and understanding. And Neil definitely had a spiritual shift on a trip to Israel, which he shared with me, and I know he'll share with you. I'm really excited for Neil to be here today and share his unique spiritual journey. As we all have such unique journeys, and I think we can really learn from each other. So welcome, Neil. I'm
Thank you.
happy to
Thank
have you here today to share
you.
your story.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, so I thought we would just start. You were explaining to me about how the home you were brought up, your mother and father were quite different spiritually. So you could maybe start there.
Yeah, it's interesting because my father grew up in quite a religious environment and reacted to that. So, once he was out of the home, he would barely darken the door of a church.
Mm,
Whereas my mother's family was not religious at all,
right.
but very open and but very, they would rather talk politics than religion.
Okay.
And so after they were married, an evangelist rolled into town, set up his tent, and she went and listened and became a very active Christian.
Right.
Yeah, so it's interesting. One started from zero, went to 60, and the other started at 60 and went to zero.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Completely different path.
yeah.
Yeah. So, and then, yeah, so maybe you can just start from there because then you got involved with, you were Baptist, right, at first.
At first, yeah, we would go to the Baptist church. Then, when I was in high school, I realized my friends in the Pentecostal church were having much more fun, and so
Yeah.
I went and joined them. My mother wasn't concerned about me switching from Baptist to Pentecostal because she'd moved on herself. She was actually, she would send us off to Sunday school and then sit at home and read the Science of Mind magazine and other books by Ernest Holmes.
Right.
So, yeah, so
And, and Neil, can you just explain to the listener like a little bit about Science of Mind?
yeah, Science of Mind is a philosophy, a religious, spiritual philosophy. Uh, Dr. Holmes, who founded the philosophy, it's called it practical Christianity. And of course, in the main book that we read of his, we call the textbook. Book is called The Science of Mind. Uh, he outlines the teaching, which is basically the realization that we create our lives by our thinking.
Right.
And so it's very much in alignment with all of the other New Thought teachings, the Unity Church. Um, well, there's divine science. There's so many of them that
Right.
all started out of the Transcendental movement in the U.S. Like 150 years ago.
Right. And very interesting that your mom way back then was reading that.
Yeah, well, she had this incredible curiosity. She grew up in railway stations. And so, of course, there weren't a lot of other kids around. And at night, she could hear her father, my grandfather, on the telegraph sending out Morse code messages. And so she learned telegraphy. They had a few of her siblings as well. And so as then what would happen as she grew older, she would, after the railway shut down at 5 o'clock,
Yeah.
she would get on the telegraphy key and talk to kids in other stations. And so
Oh,
back in the 1920s, she was online
right, right.
talking to people over the horizon. So her view was always over the horizon.
Wow, wow,
Yeah, so she led a remarkable life. She passed away last year at age 100.
wow. That
Yeah.
is incredible. That is
hmm
a long life. And
Yeah, she was playing piano for the old folks the day she she dropped. Yeah,
wow,
she had a stroke. Yeah.
isn't that something, hey? That well,
hmm
that's the way to go, hey? Just live your life
Yeah,
and then just having a sudden thing and then you're gone and
right.
no,
Yeah.
no lingering, right?
Yeah, that's my plan.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, so she was very open, a very open person, right? Which,
Very much. Yeah. So as yeah, after I was married, we moved to Calgary from BC. We did start going back to the Pentecostal church because prior to that time I was, investigating all sorts of things like
right,
Edgar Casey, Ouija boards,
right.
just whatever was going on in the late 60s,
Yes,
which was a pretty interesting time to be inquiring about your spiritual nature.
yes,
Uh, and so then we went back into the Pentecostal church once I had a family because of course it's important for the kids to grow up having an understanding of the foundation of our culture.
yes,
So that was important to me at the time.
yes,
Yeah, so I was a good old Pentecostal, loved the music,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
and
Your
sing at the top
favorite.
of our voices. And,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's and then so then what was that? You went to Israel with your grandma, but that was a bit later, or what? I guess that
well, that was in '84, so it was a few years later. It was my mother, actually, not my grandmother.
Oh, your mother. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well, she'd got a small inheritance from her father, who was he was a true socialist in the Tommy Douglas, camp, and the early social credit, and
Right,
so she figured, well, best thing for her to do with this bit of an inheritance was to take me to a socialist country. And of
right,
course, the socialist country was the one that she loved best, with Israel, with its kibbutz and that sort of thing. So,
right, right.
but she had already been there a few times. She's been to Israel like a total of 8 times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah, she loved the country. Yeah, so she and I spent a month in Israel. The very first night was by far the most profound. We
Right.
arrived on a Friday. We
Yeah,
were traveling with the Jewish National Fund, so everyone else on the trip was Jewish, and they were primarily there to leave donations, and to support the country.
right, right.
Uh, and so there I was as a good Pentecostal with these Jewish people, and we had a Shabbat service that night.
Mm,
And I was sharing a room with this gentleman,
yeah,
and who was considerably older than me at the time, probably my age now.
yeah.
And I looked over at him, and the glory of God was shining on his face like any good old Pentecostal.
Right,
And I figured, oh my God, I don't share a faith with this man. How
right.
could he be having an experience that I thought was exclusive, to
Yeah,
Pentecostals, to what I believed? And I
exactly.
realized in a flash that God was so much bigger than any box I'd put him in.
Exactly. That
Yeah.
was amazing awareness that shifted in you.
Oh, it really was, because then I had to re-examine everything.
Yeah,
Is God bigger than what I had been taught and what I knew to be true, knew up here.
Yes.
And well, yeah, must be bigger than that. So I broke it right down. Is there a God? Well, yes, of course. Then what is God? And I've spent the rest of my life answering that question, at ever more profound levels.
Yeah, awesome. And can you explain to the listener that might not know what a Shabbat was?
Oh, it's a Friday night service
Yeah, just
within the Jewish faith.
with the Jews.
Sure, yeah, yeah. So that it's the Sabbath.
Yeah, it's kind of their rest, right? Their day
Yeah, yeah,
for resting.
yeah. It begins at sundown on Friday until sundown on Saturday
Right, right.
is their day.
Yeah, and had you ever been in one before, or I guess not,
No,
because that was
no,
your first time to Israel.
no. I have since,
Yeah,
uh, but it was a tremendous experience.
yeah.
To have the service and then a meal, and it was interesting because they have the challah bread, that's braided,
Oh, okay.
and somebody pulled out the knife to start slicing the bread, and the tour leader says, "No, no, no. When we break bread, we break bread." And so he pulled off a piece and threw it down the table.
Oh,
you know, so yeah, so there was a lot of fun. There was a lot of fun on that trip.
a good experience for you.
It was life changing, truly was.
Uh, that's awesome. I have been to Israel, so I know I really I didn't think I was going to love going there, but when I was there, there was something definitely different about the place. And you shared a couple of things about experiences where you were talking to a couple people and felt it wasn't you. Plus, you were saying you
Mm.
felt very at home there.
Oh yeah, when we were up in around the Galilee, the Galil, as they call it,
Yeah.
um, I felt like I knew that place. Of course, I'd never been there before, but I felt so much at home. It was really something. It made me wonder about, reincarnation. Have I lived a lifetime there?
Exactly.
Uh, you know, and because and my mother as well has this incredible affinity for Israel that can't be explained
Right.
really any other way.
Exactly. Look
Uh,
how many times she went.
yeah, yeah,
Very drawn there.
yeah. Uh, One other thing that happened on that first night is we went down to the wall, the Western Wall, the Wailing Wall,
Yes.
and there's a huge plaza there. And our little group, there might have been six of us who went down, and so we formed this little circle and to pray at the wall.
Right.
And the Hasidic Jews, the very ultra right
Yes.
religious Jews,
Yes.
saw us in this little circle and decided it was inappropriate. So they came over and formed a circle around us. And I was thinking, my heavens, how do they know I'm not Jewish?
Right.
And then I realized it was because there was women in the group,
Right.
that they separate men from women when they pray.
Yes. Yeah.
And so they formed a circle around us, and then the heavily armed guards saw this, and so they came over and formed a circle around them. So that same night, that was my introduction to the politics
Wow.
of Israel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It must have been a little tense feeling for a bit.
Well, yeah, the first couple of days, it's strange because you see so many people, these young soldiers, male and female, are walking downtown, hand in hand in some cases.
Yes.
But she's got a Uzi
Yeah.
over her shoulder, and he's got a Galil assault rifle, you know,
Right.
strapped on. It's
Completely
yeah.
different than what we're used to, right? We just
Oh,
the different
yeah. She
different.
wore, she would wear it as easily as you'd have a handbag over your shoulder.
Oh, that
Yeah.
yeah.
So, but after a few days, you sort of settled into that new reality. But
Yeah.
of course, coming from Canada, that's not something we would ever see.
Exactly. No,
Yeah.
out of our realm.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
yeah. But you were asking about that I feel something coming through me. There
Yeah.
was one night in particular, this friend that I had made on the tour, part of the group, was telling me some extremely sad stories of her childhood
Right.
growing up. And I started thinking, I have no experience of that kind of sadness or grief, really, because
Yes.
there had been she had lost a sibling very young.
Yeah.
And if I don't have the wisdom to say anything comforting. And then this feeling came over me, and I started to speak words of wisdom and healing
Yes.
and and acceptance of the situation
Right.
uh, that really resonated with her. And I realized it was not my own wisdom, not at all.
Yeah.
So there I was in the land of the prophets
Yeah.
prophesying.
Yeah. Something within you, yeah, that God self, that higher self, right, was speaking that. And you
Very much.
know it,
Yeah.
right? You feel it, you sense it.
Yeah. And there was one other occasion when the same thing happened.
Right.
And so, yeah, it was pretty interesting. So, all in all, it was the first time I've been out of the country, except for, some short trips to the US.
Right.
But so it was the first time being in a different culture, uh, being surrounded by people of other faiths,
Yes.
uh, seeing the politics. At the time, I was working at the Herald. I was the foreign editor.
Right.
So, I'd been editing all the news copy that would come across the news wires
Right.
for the Herald. And
Yes.
so I had a good sense of what was going on, I thought.
Yeah.
But once you're there and you see the people living that experience of, you know, being at war, sometimes overtly, most times covertly,
Right.
and realizing, I was talking with one man, he was a colonel in the Israeli Defense Forces. His son looked like he could have been one of my kids. He had bright red hair and freckles.
Yeah.
And he said he'd been in Lebanon, he'd been in Egypt, and he knew his son would as well. I can't imagine what that would be like, knowing that your children would most definitely be going to war
Yeah.
and being on the front lines.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Just
yeah, there was so much that was so profound
yeah.
in sort of opening up the world to me
Exactly.
and my own spiritual nature.
Exactly. Yeah. It's kind of like that's what launched you into just opening your awareness to so much more. Just that trip, right? That was such a pivotal point for you.
Yeah, yeah. When I got back home to Calgary, of course we continued to go to our evangelical church,
Right.
and but it didn't ring true in the same way.
Exactly.
Uh, and then uh, be 86, 2 years after that trip,
Yeah.
I was in Vancouver visiting a friend of mine. He said, "Well, come to my church. I'm speaking." So of
Yeah.
course we went.
Yeah.
And he had just been to, it turned out it's a Science of Mind Center.
Right.
And,
Right.
and he had just come back from an annual conference. So he was reporting on what he had learned at that
Exactly.
conference. And so that was my introduction to Science of Mind. I didn't realize, that kind of a metaphysical teaching existed. And so when I came home after that trip,
Yeah.
I sought out the Calvary Center. So that was in the fall, in September of 1986.
Right.
So next year it'll be 40 years for me.
Right. And interesting how your mom way back was studying it, right? So it was
Yeah.
to be that you found that teaching and something that really, changed your life, right?
Oh yeah. 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 And the first couple of months I was there, it felt so good. I knew that there was a truth there that
Yeah.
I hadn't experienced anywhere else, but there were parts of it I just could not comprehend. Like
Right.
the concept of unity made no sense to me. you
Right.
know, what do you mean unity? Of course, there's good and bad, dark and light. You
Yeah.
know, uh, male and female, everything is dual.
Yes.
And but about 2 or 3 months later, just something shifted and I got it. We're not talking about how life is expressed. We're talking about, the inner truth of life,
Right.
where we are one.
Right. Right. Yeah. Do
Yeah.
you want to say a little bit more about that? What that unity is? What you learned about that?
Well, boy, I continue to learn about
Yeah.
that.
I guess that
Yeah.
everything is connected, right?
Well, everything is connected. The way I was watching a podcast this morning, and the way it was described is, you know, the divine, the infinite intelligence, God,
Yes.
has a thought. That thought individualizes as a person.
Right.
And then we have been an individualization of the divine. We have that same creative power. And so then we individualize a thought and individualize a thought, individualize a thought. But it all begins with that unity. Everything begins in that one universal source of
Exactly.
all life,
Exactly. Yeah.
and which the energy of which is love,
Right. Right.
and which that love holds the universe together,
Yeah.
informs our bodies, but we don't see it. We're so caught up in our outer focused awareness
Yeah.
that we rarely look in. A couple of days ago, I came across a really cool little experiment. You want to try it?
Sure.
Okay. Um, in your mind, silently say hello.
Hmm. Yeah.
Did you do it?
Yes.
How do you know?
Uh, I don't know. I just,
You're aware of it.
yeah, I just,
So who is this you that was aware of what was going on in your mind?
right, right.
Right. That's the observer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one way to look at it is the, in our conscious mind, it's our local self, the local I,
Yeah.
but there is also that universal I,
Right.
and that's the observer. That's our soul,
Yeah.
our higher self.
Our higher self. Yeah.
Yeah.
That soul within, hey, because that whole concept of we're just in this human body, but we are a soul first, right? With this kind of shell on us and our actual self and our true self is like you were saying about love. It's we are completely created from love, by love, for love, right? And
Correct.
there's many things that
100%.
kind of play out
Absolutely.
in our life,
Right.
but that is the core and essence of who we are, which is a really different truth than sometimes you're taught in a lot of religions. Even like you say, the Pentecostal, or
Mm,
kind of that basis that you're born a sinner, not that you're born perfect. So
right.
that for me was such a beautiful realization that we're born, that we are that perfect creation out of our creator. We are, like you said, we are God. Is, some people don't want to
Yeah.
say that, but we are a part of an expression of him, or
Mhm.
get to say
Yeah.
him or her. So
Yeah.
it's very interesting to shift your perspective and just how you see yourself as
But
compared,
that shift
to
in perspective is the key, because which I do you identify with? Am I my body? Am I my conscious awareness? Or am I the spirit, the soul behind that all?
yeah,
It's and that aspect of us, the spiritual aspect, that animates our life.
yes,
So
yeah,
if we identify with the inner self, that universal I, life takes on an entirely different meaning and color.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is a beautiful truth, but something that takes a while to integrate and to really
Well, it
get it. Like
does.
you say, you can have a
Yeah.
lot of, knowledge in your head about it, but to get it
Ah,
from the heart, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I took in this teaching at the head level for probably 30, 35 years
Right, you're
of the 39.
right.
And it's only been in the last few years that I really began to understand the teaching at a deeper level. You know, that it is all energy,
Yeah.
and I can create not simply by speaking my word, but by knowing the truth of it and believing it. You
Yeah.
know, like we don't create necessarily what we want,
Right.
but we do create what we are.
Yes.
And that out pictures. So as you get a deeper understanding of who you are from a spiritual nature, then that's what you're going to create from. You're going to create more love, more peace, more abundance.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like the whole message kind of when you think about it is God is love, and that's right. Like
right.
it is very simple but not easy sometimes to play it out in our lives, right? It
Yeah,
when you think about it, it sounds simplistic, well, just love. Well, it's not always easy, right?
right.
But that comes
Yeah.
from
When we were last winter, Belda and I went to Ajijic, Mexico, which is where James Twyman, who's, the peace troubadour, he'd go around the world singing, in war zones and
okay,
have rallies for peace, has written many, many books. Uh, and he has a center there called Namaste Village.
right,
And it's purely a spiritual community and a very spiritual place.
right.
And so we were there for a month. And one of their buildings on the outside in very large letters is written one love. Oh, sorry, only love,
Okay.
only God, only now.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, those, if you resonate with those three words, you're resonating with the truth of your being
Yeah.
as it connects to all that is.
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's really beautiful. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell, right? Neil, like it really is. But it takes kind of our journey in our lifetime to really,
Well,
to
it
understand
does.
and to play that out in our lives and just let that
Mhm.
shine through us, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Because, everything we're hearing now and some of the podcasts we're listening to is energetically, things are happening so much more quickly now in terms of spiritual awareness
Yes.
that people are coming into a deeper understanding of who they are
Yeah.
at, exponentially greater levels. And so,
Absolutely.
it's kind of interesting, interesting
Yeah.
to see, to
Yes.
see that happening,
Yeah.
within me, within the people I know.
That,
Because, yeah, we are evolving as a species so quickly right now,
yes.
so quickly.
It does seem to. I ended up writing after my kind of learning a piece called "The Remembering," and that word came to me, the remembering, to title it that. And then after that, I kept hearing all these different people I was listening to and teachers talk about the remembering. It's just like remembering who we are. And I never heard that terminology. Actually, it just came to me to title it that. And then after that, I heard so many people referring to it as a remembering. So I became so aware that all this is happening on the earth. Like all these
Mhm.
people are remembering. You're going back to remembering
Right,
who you are. So, like you say,
right.
it's just happening so fast,
Yeah,
quickly.
yeah.
And it is really, it's actually really exciting times that we live in, right? And
Yeah, they are exciting times.
things people say, oh, there's lots of, happening in the world, bad things and this, and it's so evil. But I don't know, we were talking before about what you put your focus on, what you choose to focus on. And if you see the spiritual awakening that's happening, you can see it all around you if you just open your eyes to it. Just like you said, you opened your eyes to the message of love in the
Mhm.
science of mind, where before it was kind of an intellectual thing. And then you saw all of a sudden you started focusing on the love part and
Mhm.
really started to see that.
Yeah. Um, we tend to watch a lot of YouTube podcasts these days, and very little news.
Right.
So, all of those fear-based stories just aren't, yeah, I'm not taking them in. anymore.
Exactly. Yes.
But the podcasts that we're listening to, and often they're quite young people, in
Yeah.
their 20s and 30s, who
Yeah.
are just so spiritually aware,
Yes.
and they're talking about growth, awareness, evolution, uh, and so that's the consciousness
Yeah.
that I'm making myself available to now,
Yes.
rather than the fear stories.
Exactly.
So I'm quite excited, as you were saying,
Yeah.
about what's coming,
Yes.
because I'm just not buying into everything that that the media, the system, wants us to be fearful about.
Exactly.
If we're in fear, we can, we're looking outside ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah.
If we're focused on love, we're focused inward.
Yeah.
That's where the power is.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is absolutely the truth. So I just wanted to go back for a minute. So when you started going to the Science of Mind Center, there was a little bit of a thing. You ended up actually your marriage ended up breaking up because you just were seeing two different ways.
Uh, yeah, there's probably more to it than that.
Yeah, yeah, that was part of it,
Yeah,
probably.
it was part of it. Of course, the first chapter of that Science of Mind textbook I was referring to refers to God as the thing itself.
Right,
And
right,
then the idea, of course, is we're trying to get away from that image of the, long white hair and long beard,
right,
the,
right.
the old man in the sky.
Yes.
And so when my girls came home, because my wife didn't come with us to church,
Yeah.
to this church.
Yeah.
When my girls went home and referred to God as the thing itself,
Did not go over well.
no, then there was a rift that was never repaired.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So, but life has been good. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And then you went on to, and you want to share a little bit about your wife, Mildred, was it?
yeah, Mildred, she was a member of the center. We met, through the Center for Spiritual Living
Right.
in Calgary. And so she was taking lots of classes. I was taking lots of classes.
Yeah, you took
Uh,
many of the courses and right through to the ministerial part,
yeah, I
course.
took all the classes they had and completed the ministerial studies. But
Right,
in those days, you wouldn't actually be licensed as a minister unless you started your own center.
right, right.
And given that we had commitments and a mortgage,
Yeah,
I couldn't see a way of making a living starting a church, and,
exactly.
and so I let it go.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, Mildred and I got together in '92. We're married in '95, uh, and built a really good life.
Mhm.
Through much of that time, I was working as a fundraiser and specialized in planned giving, which is giving through wills and estates.
Okay.
And so, the training that I received was really quite technical, uh,
Right.
uh, but incredibly satisfying. And so, I did a lot of training
Okay.
during that time,
Right.
and it's like training other young people to have an understanding of planned giving, of legacy giving.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, and then so yeah, we had a good life.
Yeah.
We had a good life, and then 2010, she was diagnosed with breast cancer
Yeah.
and went through that. Which was of course quite a challenge.
Yes.
Uh, she she decided after chemo and radiation that she really did not want to wear a wig, so she walked around very bald, very boldly. It was great.
Oh.
Yeah. Um, but then a few years later, it did come back into her spine
Yeah.
and her lungs and kidneys. So and then things got very, very difficult. It was interesting because when she was diagnosed, was basically the month before COVID hit.
Okay.
So we were kind of in isolation anyway.
Right.
and sort of kind of missed the full impact of COVID,
Okay.
because we were isolating.
Right. Right.
Yeah, because of the level of treatment she required at that point.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you said when she transitioned, it was just like kind of a peaceful thing, right? And it was just then it was the end, right? Because, you know,
Yeah, yeah, because she was in such pain.
yeah,
She was saying it was absolute torment.
yeah,
With the spine disintegrating, that cancer was just chewing away at the bones.
yeah,
Um, and then her couldn't uh, produce red blood cells
right.
that were healthy,
Yeah.
and so the red blood cells would kind of burst, so
Oh,
she couldn't hold oxygen. So yeah,
yeah.
it was all really difficult.
Oh my goodness.
Um,
Yeah.
and so we had palliative home care,
Right.
which was tremendous. They're an amazing, amazing group of home care nurses.
Yes. Yes.
And so on the final day, the home care nurse was with us, and so it was just the three of us. And Mildred wanted to die at home.
Yeah.
Did not want to be institutionalized.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and so she was in bed, uh, and the nurse knew,
Yeah.
that the time was coming.
Yeah.
And so I was laying with her with my arm around her, and I started telling her that, um, you know, we're going to miss you, but you have family members on the other side
Yes.
who are eagerly waiting for you.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, it spoke like that, and, encouraged her to, how did I put it? To let go of this awareness,
Yeah.
and step into the next awareness.
Yeah. Yes.
It's safe to cross that threshold.
Exactly. Because our body passes, but we don't. It's just going
Exactly.
a different
Yeah.
kind of dimension or realm. And that's
Yeah.
something that you hear a lot. And I think you've probably listened to near-death experiences, but myself, lots of them. And they say they don't, sometimes they don't even realize that they passed because they just go into a different dimension and they think, why can't people see me? So you just know that death doesn't have to be scary. And of course, we don't like to go through the pain like your wife had those symptoms from her sickness. But once that was done, she would have just felt no pain and just that freedom.
Exactly.
And probably loved ones even came to take her, or angels or her guardian angel,
I'm sure of it. Yeah.
just took her. You hear so many of the stories about that, and it really gives you a peace when you understand that, and that it
Hmm.
doesn't have to be a scary thing. And yes, we miss our loved ones, but it should also be, in a sense, celebrating with them that they're in that beautiful realm now.
Hmm. Yeah, it was interesting because I didn't go through the grief that I thought I might.
Yeah,
And I realized it was because we successfully got her to the finish line.
yes, you were saying that.
Yeah.
That's a cool way to put it, Neil.
Yeah. Because, we were able to end her pain.
Yes,
And there was only one way to end that,
yeah,
which is to step across that threshold.
yes, exactly.
Um, so yeah, it was interesting because,
Yeah,
people talk so much about the grief they're experiencing and the mourning they're doing.
right.
And mine was so minimal.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
just
And then when my mother passed last year,
yes.
well, she was 100.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Again, success, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, such a long life, right?
But the truth is we are immortal. And
Yes,
so this life is just a chapter in our story.
exactly.
You
And
know,
yeah, it's an illusion, really. Many people call it an illusion. We're just kind of in this illusory world, almost like a matrix, just kind of learning our lessons and living it out. But really, our home has always been and will be with our Creator. And I feel like
absolutely.
that,
Yeah.
you know, that is the essence of it, right? But that's also a hard concept to understand until you start really, you know,
But that's the beauty of that little exercise. Because
Right.
if you can change how you self-identify
Right.
to that inner self, the
Yeah.
higher self,
Yes.
then it just makes sense that of course we're connected with
Yeah.
spirit, with God.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Such a big.
It's but I've spent 76 years outward focused.
Right. Right.
So, it takes some attention
Yes.
to really and some will
Yeah.
to stay focused on the truth of who I am
Yes.
rather than just living out the old story over and over and over.
Yeah. So
So often we think we are our story,
right.
but no, that's just how we've lived out our days.
Exactly.
And often the story is, we're living from things that we believe that were thrust upon us.
Yeah.
It's not our own truth.
Exactly. Oh,
Yeah,
so much of that. Hey, like our upbringings, our society, just so many things you sort of, we believe, but they're not even true, then you start realizing this, you've been sort of conditioned and programmed for
right,
certain things, and
right,
then you realize it's, you start understanding this has just been my programming and
right.
it's not true, right? So then you start
Yeah,
to really seek out truth, and that, like the Bible says, the truth will set you free. It really does, right?
it really does.
Yeah.
And well, two things. Number one, we talk about race consciousness, or what does the general population believe?
Right.
And that's been cemented into our awareness of who we are for millennia. What is it to be human?
Yes.
And it's so interesting to me that that sort of that group consciousness, that group belief,
Mhm.
um, changes from country to country, even city to city.
Right.
When we say I'm a Calgarian or an Albertan
Yeah.
or a Canadian,
Yes.
it has a connotation, it has meaning.
Yes. True.
Yeah. And so that race consciousness is so strong, but there's an ultimate truth
Yes.
of who we are that you've been discussing very eloquently.
Exactly. That.
And so, but it does take focus.
Right. Yeah. And you don't know until you know, and you don't know what you don't know, right? Until you do know.
Right.
Sometimes
Yeah.
they just aren't in your awareness until you start understanding. So,
Right. And philosophy doesn't, it lays the foundation, but it doesn't make the shift. It has to be uh, an emotional experience
yes. Yeah.
of, it has to be something that you're feeling to feel that love. Yeah.
Exactly.
Because when I use the word knowing now, I'm thinking of a heart knowing.
Right.
My head knows about things,
Right.
but
Yeah.
my heart knows the truth.
I love that, Neil. You shared that with me before. I love that, right? We can know about, but we need to know inside and
Hmm.
from the heart. That is like a pretty big key right there, is
It has been for me.
from the heart. Yeah. So you went on to meet Valda at the center after.
Yeah, yeah. After Mildred passed, about a year or so later, saying, "Well, I guess it's time
Yeah.
to re-engage in life."
Yes.
And I'd known Valda. Well, we were on the board together,
Yeah.
and I was listening to her speak at an AGM, and she was speaking with such care and love for about the other board members. It
Yeah.
was just so impressed me. So
Yeah.
I got to get to know her better.
Yeah. She's a loving soul. So what
She
a beautiful
truly is.
for
She
you
truly is.
to be brought together, right? And just
Yeah.
impart into each other's life.
Hmm. And the life that we've created, is just, it's absolutely magnificent.
Yeah.
We both had small little homes, and now we've got, by combining,
Yeah.
uh, we've got a beautiful home here in High River, And we've just created this marvelous life, lots of travel,
Yes.
lots of interest.
Yes.
But we spend time every day uh, having our spiritual practice,
Yeah.
which involves affirmative prayer, a lot of reading. We love reading together.
Yes.
So I'll read a paragraph, she'll read a paragraph back and forth.
Yes.
There's many times we don't get a page finished because we're talking about it so much.
That's so beautiful. What a beautiful thing to share together in that way. It doesn't, not every marriage is like that, and you know that too, but what
I
a
do.
beautiful thing that you've come together with someone where you can share that much in your spirituality, which is beautiful. And I just wanted to bring up one thing that you shared with me was you were saying um we were saying like we were both come from that very Pentecostal background, but you were saying that you just take all of it. It's not either or. Do you want to share? I thought that was so good how you talked about that.
Yeah, yeah. The way I've put it is we all walk in the light we've been shown.
Yes.
So if someone is Pentecostal, I still have, a family that are, very, very evangelical.
Yeah, me
And,
too.
and, and, and that's great.
Yes.
We're not going to agree,
Right.
but, there are as many paths to God as there are people on earth.
Right.
We are all an individualized expression of the one. So yes, we're going to express that individually and
Yeah.
uniquely.
Yeah.
So, that's okay. That is, and so, I don't feel that everyone has to believe what I believe.
Right.
Um, and it doesn't matter what faith you are. If you're willing to pray for me, yes, please.
Yeah. And just like you said, you saw in Israel that Jewish man just shone with, God's glory. You just
Yeah,
realize it's all encompassing, right? And it doesn't matter in any religion, people can express and be that expression of God and find God, right?
right.
But when
So,
our awareness expands, then we do have to move on to what works for us and
yeah. When
appreciate
when
where we came from. Yeah.
mhm. When we moved to High River, we were anxious to sort of build community here and get to know people so we don't need to drive into Calgary, whenever we want to see somebody.
Right.
And as it turned out, the spiritual community that we've created here is an Om chanting group
Yeah.
led by a Swamini. So you have very uh, formal Hindu beliefs.
Right.
And Hinduism is so much in alignment with New Thought. I guess the other way around. New Thought is so much
Yeah.
in alignment with this ancient teaching.
Right.
And so it is so interesting to me that, every Saturday morning we go to the Okotoks Library and chant with this group of people for 45 minutes or so, and
Yes.
then go for lunch together and have a great visit.
Yes.
But it's so interesting to me that the spiritual community that we've created,
Yes.
well, it was already there.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just plugged in.
You're a part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't. We don't share faith with these people.
Yeah. Isn't
But 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 they are absolutely brothers and sisters.
That's so beautiful, Neil. Just that like the Calgary Center for Spiritual Living, and that's their thing that they always talk about. We honor all faiths, right?
Yeah,
It's that, you might not believe the same, but honoring the other person. And then also finding that connection because God is in them too. So, or the creator
absolutely.
or source, whatever you want to say.
Yeah,
And so you feel that and now, you see it played out in your life with that community and I just think that is just such a beautiful thing. It's
we're
just,
loving it. Yeah,
yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
thanks so much, Neil. Like I know that you guys are a big part of the center and you're kind of reinstating your practitionership right now
yeah.
and
Mhm.
that's a beautiful thing. But I just wanted to ask you if there's someone listening that's just on that spiritual path and just kind of searching, knows there's more. what would you say to them about that? Like just continuing on their path, and do you have
Yeah, well,
anything to
if
say
they
that would encourage
intuitively,
them?
sure, if they intuitively know that there's more to who they are, then no, you're right. No,
Yeah,
you're right. And you know, and you don't have to take this journey alone. There are so many places where there are spiritual communities
yeah,
that can help you understand the truth of who you are.
yeah,
You know, like as I said, when I started at the center in '86, it felt really right,
yes,
but I didn't understand it.
right.
But by sticking with it and by being with the people there, uh, I got to a greater understanding of the truth of who I am.
Yes,
And so, so there is the Calgary Center for Spiritual Living. There's also a Unity Church
yeah,
in Calgary. They're wonderful people as well.
yeah,
And there are other groups as well.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, so I just know that you're on the right path. You're on your own path. Um, watch YouTube
yeah.
blogs and videos rather than the news.
Lots on
And
there, hey, Neil?
there's so much.
Yeah,
There's so much,
yes,
and it's powerful. And it seems like it doesn't matter who's doing it. It's all the same message,
exactly.
because it's all coming from the same source.
Exactly. Yeah, and we
Yeah.
we tend to be drawn to that which kind of resonates with us, right? Because we all kind of maybe resonate, with maybe different styles or different types of things,
Yeah.
but we are drawn to, I feel like when we're seeking, we're drawn to the things that's really we're going to resonate and it's going to help us grow. So, but there's, like
Mhm.
you say, there's so much out there. Myself, I listen to a lot of podcasts too on YouTube, and near-death experiences are beautiful to listen to just to help you understand not just the other side, but life now, what's important now. I don't know if that's something you guys have done very much of, but boy, is it
Oh yeah, and
eye-opening.
particularly when Mildred was so sick, we watched Suzanne Giesman's podcast
Susan.
and read all of her books.
Yes,
And it's just such a powerful understanding that and a reminder that this life is just a chapter
exactly.
of our immortal being.
Yes,
Uh, and and actually, Valda and I last year went to Spokane for a weekend to hear Suzanne present.
that's
So yeah, and so we're still very very involved in uh, watching her podcasts and studying some
yeah,
of her work.
I
It's,
do as
it's
well.
so
Yeah,
yeah, so powerful.
very,
And of course, there's many many others.
yes,
Um, my tendency right now is to listen to podcasts, not so much about channeling people who have passed or being a medium for people who have passed, but channeling spirit.
yes,
And that's where I'm finding these really deep messages,
yes,
very coherent from one person to the next
yes, very,
about how important this time is
yeah.
in terms of coming to an awareness of your spiritual nature.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
there's so much out there. I think if anybody's seeking, hey, they will find it if they're just opened up to it. And
Yeah, and of course, even the center itself records and has their services on YouTube and on Facebook.
that's right, their love stream.
Yeah, so you
Yeah,
don't have to.
you don't have to go. You can watch it at home.
Yeah, yeah, and if it resonates, then
Yes,
there might be another way to connect later on.
yes, exactly. No, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Neil, for sharing. And
Yeah,
I certainly just see your heart and even that love and shining through you. Like you said, it was a lot of heart knowledge and now it's gone to the heart and I can really see that radiate from you. So I know that you're just going to go on, like you say, just growing in your understanding of spirit and creators just ever changing and growing, which we all should, right? And so I really appreciate you sharing. And I feel like you have a lot of wisdom and understanding of, even we talked about some, like, of scripture and things that people have taken, interpreted things wrong. And I feel like you have that knowledge. So it's a beautiful
Well,
thing.
that's it. In terms of what we believe from a metaphysical point of view, no one taught it better than Jesus.
Right.
But,
Exactly.
but it's not how the church teaches it.
Exactly, Nick.
But once you dig in behind that language, it's so powerful.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's the thing, the interpretation of many things. And sadly to say, a lot of things haven't been portrayed in the right way or interpreted in the right way. But then we find
yeah. But it
that,
is now. It's coming.
yeah, it is
So
coming. Yeah, it is
yeah.
like you say, that awareness. So yeah, so beautiful. Well, I know that you're just going to be letting your light shine everywhere, you and Valda. So I really appreciate both of you, and I know that you'll be used to help many people, and that's an awesome thing. So I love your story. Thanks so much for sharing.
Thank you, Shelley.
Okay.
Okay, take care.
Thank you.
Yeah. Namaste.
Yeah, namaste. I hope you've enjoyed listening to our guest's story of their spiritual journey today. If somehow it's helped you or resonated with you, please do leave a comment below. Maybe you're going through your own time of and spiritual journey, so maybe it's helped you in some way. Also, please like and subscribe to this channel so you'll be sure to get more and hear more of these spiritual journeys. Thank you very much for being with us today.